morning. I promised you then that I would round up with you guys on HTML, CSS. I'm going to be teaching you with a real life project that I actually did in UK, so that you have a sound knowledge on how to build a complete web page using HTML5 and CSS. Nowadays, a lot of people use Bootstrap, in which I will also give you an idea on how to do that. Bootstrap is much more easier, because after now I'm going to teach you Bootstrap, then I will round up with the first stage. Because by the time you know this, it will really help you on how to do a site. Even within a day, within 2 hours, you can finish a whole site and you live there. So, but that is our part. But in this class, I'm going to be teaching you on how to build a complete web page without using any template, without using any assistance, plugins or the likes. You are the one writing your full HTML and the CSS code. And we are going to be using HTML5, and it's going to be a responsive web page. Now, the first thing you need to understand is that you need to understand the syntax for the for each of the section of the code. As you can see on my code, immediately after, I know you know all these parts, so let's just leave that and go to the major part. Immediately after the body, you could see that I have header, and I close the header here. Can you see on line 13 I open the header? That's one advantage of HTML5. Your HTML will be very scanty. It is at the CSS end that you do a lot of coding, and the advantage is that it will not be easy for someone to just enter your web page and copy your code, because by the time he copies it and try to use it, it won't be well structured. So that's why it's better in most cases to use HTML5 and to put your CSS code externally. So without wasting much time, immediately after the body, you have the header, the header. So let me select so that you see. So this is the header, and I close my header. So it's within the header that I put my logo and I put my nav. You understand? So this part that I liked it, let me show you how it looks like on the web page. Let me refresh it so that I'll show you. Okay, can you see the only part I highlighted is just this top, that the background is black. This is the logo that you are seeing, and this is the nav: home, about, contact, services, and our team. So let me show you that it's responsive. Can you see? So that is the part you're seeing. Now, after this part, the next thing is what we call the main. Immediately after your header, the next part is your main. Please take note of all this. So that's when you are doing code. Immediately you open your body, you put your header, you close your header. So after that, you now start your main. Can you see where my main is? My main, I'm still highlighting my main. It will end before my footer. Do you understand? Can you see I'm through with my web page? So that means immediately after my header, the main. After the main, the what? The footer. So let me show you the main on the web page. So immediately after this black background, from this hero saw, where you can see this something like I don't know what suya. So let me scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll before the footer. Can you see is my main? So this is the standard in which I do a lot of my projects. So that's my main. So immediately after the main, you will now see your what? Your footer. Can you see your footer? This is where I wrote copyright. I open footer and I close what? Footer. And I wrote copyright Jenkins Butcher, all right reserved. Are you getting all this? Now, if you are very observant, one of the things you observe is that I'm not using any class and I'm not using any ID. That's why it is HTML5. So the first thing is what? Your header. You close your header. After your header, your what? Your main. You close your what? Main. After your main, your footer. You close your footer. So after you've done this, the next thing that is very important is that don't forget everything is within the body. Now, after you've done this, the next thing is you can now go inside the main. The main is the major part of your code. Can you see? And I started using section. Can you see the first? That's why this class is an introductory class. Can you see the section where you could see image source? Let me show you that particular code again. That is where you can see, I don't know what they call this, this thing that you are seeing. So that's where you can see this big image. Just that simple code, and inside a what? A section. You will notice that I'm not using any class and I'm not using any ID. So after that, the next thing is what? Section. Can you see another section? That is where you are saying welcome to what? Welcome to Jenkins. Then after that, another what? Section. You will notice that everything is into a section. I'm not really using div like before. The only thing I do is that I can put my div inside section. Exactly. So after you've gotten this, let's go to the CSS part. The standard way of writing CSS, if you want to do some international jobs, is that you separate your CSS into two. You might not really see this method online, but that's the standard way to do projects internationally. So now you could see that I have, don't worry, as we continue, you understand what I'm saying. I have inside my CSS, you could see that I have responsive and I have what? Style.css. So let me open the responsive.css. Responsive.css. Then let me also open the what? The style.css. I know you'll be wondering, why did I have two CSS? Let me explain to you the reason. Style.css is for mobile view. I don't know, maybe you've been hearing this term, mobile first. Don't worry, in the next class, by the time we start working, you understand what I mean. Anytime you are doing any code in your HTML, by default, maybe you've observed it, just put code for image. You always discover that the image will stick to the left. It will stick to, by default. So it's mobile. Computer always respond to what? To mobile first. So let me see if I can quickly show you. Let me open a simple code. Let me try if I have anything. Okay. Look at this. Let me quickly use an example. HTML. Just observe. After my HTML, the head, close the head. After the head, the next thing is what? Body, close what? Close body. Sorry, let me open a separate. I don't know why it's given. Let me quickly open a separate file. New. I just want to prove that to you that it's always mobile first. So don't forget, style.css is for mobile view. Okay, I can use PHP or HTML, anyone you like. Great. Okay. Now let's now go to the body. Look at me without stressing myself. How? Let me just put a simple code for image. img space src equals, let's browse so that we'll pick one of the image in this folder that I call Jenkins. Just wait and see. Let me just pick this small image. Okay. Okay. Now, this simple code that I've actually written, I want you to observe something. Let me save it. Let me save it. September class. But I want to try my best to be very consistent with you guys so that you round up your first stage. So now, just look at this. Okay, let me go and view it. September what? Class.html. Let's see what did you observe? You will notice that this image, without doing any coding, it's ticked to the left. So by default, even if I try to reduce this, can you see that without any stress, is mobile view. That's why I shrink my browser for mobile. Can you see without stressing myself, it has responded for mobile view. That's the reason why you see online when they are saying mobile first, mobile first, mobile first. So without much stress, any code you actually put for your HTML will be what? Will respond on a mobile view. So that's the reason why I have separate CSS for my what? For my mobile, which is what style.css. Because in this CSS, you see that it's very scanty. I won't really put much code. The only thing I will just do is that possibly position it very well and make sure that it's very okay. But in the case that, just imagine that, okay, let me put another image. Let me put another image. You notice what I'm saying. Let me come here again. Let me just copy. Control C. Control V. Let me look for another image inside this place. Okay, there's another image known as coming pork. You see what I'm saying? I think pork. Okay, without stress. Let me save. And let's see what will happen. Refresh. You know, I'm saying on mobile view. Did you observe? It will go to the bottom. Hello? What this is telling you is that by default, you need little stress. You don't even have any stress to code for a mobile view. Why? Because by default, it will respond appropriately. The only thing I will just do is that maybe I want to give it margin, maybe the space between the two images, I want it to increase and make sure that it's well. That's the only thing I can actually do. Exactly. But what of the case of big view? Can you see? It does not make any sense for big view, because on the big view, possibly this one that is at the bottom should be at the side and it will be 3 on the screen. So that's why I have a separate CSS for my what? For my bigger view. That's what I call responsive dot what? Dot CSS. Exactly. So I think I'm going to round up here, but I'll give you a little assignment that you should go and work on. I think that's where I will start my class, so that I'll be able to explain to you, because we don't really have much stress with what we've taught you in CSS in coding for your style.css. They're going to respond automatically for mobile view. But what of for big screen? So that's why go and read more on what? At media. What do I call it? At media in CSS. When you are talking about at media, you are still going to put the normal CSS there. Let me just give you a kind of little summary. I said at media mean width 800 px. I open my curly brace, I close my what? Curly brace. So every other code will be inside this at media. What he's saying is that for this particular div or for this particular section, you are writing the CSS code forward for any screen that is 800 px and above. That's meaning of mean width. Is that clear? Because mobile view has been what? Explained. There's no need to stress. So you are writing for screen that are what? Mean width what? 800 px above. That's why in my coding you see I will use mean width 1300. That is any screen that's what? 1300 px and above. That means it's going to be a little bit bigger. But when you go to Cinema House, we have at media mean width was 1800 px. Don't worry, that's where we are starting our next class. So I think, but before that, go and read on what we call at media, so that it will be faster by the time I'm taking you. So thank you.